everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. I will be going over the FAFSA filing process for the upcoming 2023-2024 academic year. My name is Teresa Daly, and I'm a counselor here at the Office of Student Financial Services at Hofstra University. Some of the topics I will be going over today will be financial aid programs, how and when to apply, filing the FAFSA, some helpful frequently asked questions, tips, and resources, and some answers to questions that normally come up while filing the FAFSA. So I always like to begin with what exactly is financial aid. This is comprised into three different categories. One being grants and scholarships, also known as gift aid, can also come in the form of federal work study or federal loan options. So federal work study, this eligibility is determined through the FAFSA application. So if you would like to be considered, you would need to file the FAFSA and demonstrate financial need. Most of these jobs are worked on campus and hours are based on the student's schedule. The biggest thing to note regarding federal work study is that the student will earn wages. You will not see funds directly applied to a student's billing account. These positions can either be part-time jobs or undergraduate assistantships. With federal work study, students earn more than just a degree. They can gain valuable networking opportunities, build their resume, as well as meeting other faculty and peers on campus. The next form of financial aid is gift aid. This is also known as scholarships and or grants. This is aid that does not require any type of repayment. When it comes to scholarships, these can be offered either through the institution that you're applying for or through an outside source. When it comes to institutions, typically this is gained in the form of merit-based aid. Grants can also be available through the institution. And then there are also different types of federal aid as well. The federal grants will come from filing the FAFSA, and you would need to demonstrate high need in order to qualify. Those two grants are the federal Pell Grant and the federal Supplemental Opportunity Grant, which is also known as SEOG. For New York State residents, there is also a Tuition Assistance Program, or TAP, which is available to New York State residents who are attending school in New York. Please note that if you are looking to file a TAP application, your FAFSA would need to be on file prior to filling out the TAP application, as it would be the first step. Here's a slide that goes over some scholarship search sites. We do recommend that students and families do utilize these resources to gain additional free aid that can be applied to a student's account. So some of the great resources are listed here: finaid.org, fastweb.com, and scholarships.com. If your student is awarded any additional scholarships, please let the school that they're attending know, so that way they can help you assist getting it onto the account. Lastly, we have federal loan options. So if you are interested in utilizing federal loans, all students that file a FAFSA do qualify for their Stafford or direct subsidized and unsubsidized loans. Please note that the current rates on the screen are reflective of the current academic year, which is the 2022-2023 year. The new rates for the 2023-2024 year will most likely be available as of July 1st of 2023. So Stafford loans, these are loans that are offered in the student's name from filing the FAFSA. Undergraduate dependent students, as a freshman, would be offered a total of $5,500. Sophomores get $6,500. Juniors and seniors get $7,500. These rates and amounts are determined by the federal government. The difference between subsidized and unsubsidized: subsidized will not accrue any interest while the student is in school, and the maximum amount they can receive in subsidized would be $3,500 for the year. Please note that subsidized eligibility is based off of financial need from the FAFSA application. The unsubsidized loan does begin to accrue interest while the student is in school. However, neither of the loans need to be paid back until after the student graduates or stops attending at least 6 credits per semester. And these loans would not need to be repaid until after they graduate. And there is a 6-month grace period before any type of repayment begins. The current interest rate is 4.99%, and there is a small origination fee taken from each loan amount borrowed. Another federal loan option would be the Parent Plus loan. This is a loan that the parent would be borrowing on behalf of the student, and the FAFSA would also need to be on file, as well as a separate application for the Parent Plus loan. The current interest rate is 7.54%, and it also has an origination fee. You do also have the option to apply for alternative or personal student loans, but please note that variable terms and rates will apply. Typically, a student needs to be 18 years or older and require a creditworthy cosigner. Families do have the option of utilizing a home equity loan as well. So here's a financial aid timeline for the upcoming 2023-2024 academic year. September through December of the senior year in high school, the student and one parent in the household will each apply for their own FSA ID at studentaid.gov. Please note it takes about 3 business days for your FSA ID to be verified. All applications for federal student aid become available as of October 1st. These applications include the FAFSA application. New York State residents will have the ability to file the TAP application. And some colleges may also require the College Scholarship Service or CSS profile, which is also available as of October 1st. Please note, not all institutions require the CSS profile. Hofstra, for example, does not require or accept this application. So I would recommend checking with the admissions and financial aid offices of the schools that you're looking to apply to see if it is required. We also recommend that students and families begin to apply for outside scholarships at this time. January through March, it is recommended that you file your FAFSA at the latest by February 1st. Colleges and universities do begin to send out financial aid award packages around this time, and FAFSA filing deadlines and timing of the award notifications can vary between schools. It is always best to complete the applications earlier rather than later. You may need to complete a process called verification only if it is required, and some other requested forms, whether that be proof of citizenship or selective service. Then April through May is when students and families begin to pay their tuition and housing deposits, as well as accepting any financial aid by the national candidate reply date, which is May 1st. After May 1st is when you begin to complete your loan applications and finalize any type of payment options. So who is eligible for federal aid? U.S. citizens and eligible non-citizens, such as permanent residents, are eligible to file the FAFSA and receive federal aid. Males between the ages of 18 and 25 must register with the selective service. Students must have a valid Social Security number. If a parent does not have a valid Social Security number, they would then enter all zeros on the FAFSA. This may require the parent to do a physical mailed signature page as opposed to an electronic signature at the end of the application. Deferred action or DACA students are currently not eligible to file a FAFSA and are not eligible for federal financial aid at this time. So why file the FAFSA? It is free. It determines eligibility for federal grants, loans, and work study. Some states, like New York, require it as the first part of an application process for financial aid from that state. And some colleges and private organizations require it for consideration of scholarships and grants. So what are you going to need to file the FAFSA? You need to collect the documents needed for both the student and parents. The FAFSA goes off of the prior tax year. So for the 2023-2024 FAFSA, this will require all sources of 2021 taxed and untaxed income, such as tax returns, W-2 forms, and benefit statements. You are able to utilize the IRS data retrieval tool to simplify this process. You will also need asset information like your most recent bank statements, investments, stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, Social Security numbers, student's driver's license if it's applicable, as well as alien registration numbers if it's applicable. Some frequently asked questions. Can a student choose to report 2022 income information on the FAFSA? No. You would need to report the information for the year that the FAFSA is asking for. Please remember that there are certain items on the FAFSA that are as of today, so you must read each question carefully and fill it out accordingly. If questions are answered incorrectly, your FAFSA can be selected for a process called verification. What if my family's financial situation has changed since 2021? We recommend that you speak with the colleges that you are accepted to and make sure you add them to your FAFSA. Each school will handle these processes a little bit differently, but most colleges have a special form or process for this. Many use the term professional judgment or reevaluation of federal aid. So this is what the homepage of the FAFSA looks like, which is at studentaid.gov. You'd be able to start here or log in. Typically, you would log in with the student's FSA ID to begin. So you would log in as the student, or if you are the parent or preparer of the FAFSA, you would also log in with your individual information. The first section of the FAFSA is student demographics. This will ask for student information such as name, date of birth, and social security number. Please remember that this is a student's application, so make sure you're paying attention to the information that it's asking for. Next, it will ask you to list schools. You're able to add any school that you are considering, even if you have not yet applied or have been accepted. You do not need to apply to all schools you add to your FAFSA. I can only send the FAFSA to 10 colleges online. What if I need to send the FAFSA to more? You can change the codes by going back into the FAFSA application online or by calling the number on the screen and doing it over the phone. By doing this, you are actually removing some of the previously listed schools, and therefore any future changes to the FAFSA will only be sent to the 10 schools most recently listed. Next, it will prompt you to answer dependency status questions. This is a series of specific questions that will determine if you are required to provide parent information. Dependency guidelines are set by federal regulations, and if you are determined as an independent, you would need to provide specific information. Please note, if a student is under 24 years of age, they are considered a dependent student. After dependency questions, it will then prompt the parent section. A legal parent includes a biological or adoptive parent, or a person that the state has determined to be the student's parent. For example, when a state allows another person's name to be listed as a parent on a birth certificate. Grandparents, foster parents, legal guardians, older brothers or sisters, widowed step-parents, and aunts and uncles are not considered parents unless they have legally adopted you. My parents are separated or divorced and living apart. Whose information would I provide? You should report the information for the parent who you lived with the most over the past 12 months, regardless of who claims you on their tax return. Do parents have to be legally separated to file the FAFSA as separated? No, but please keep in mind colleges may ask for proof of residency, separate residence, or by the form of a lease or utility bill. My step-parent is not responsible for supporting me, so why do I have to report his or her information on the FAFSA? If the parent you reside with is remarried, federal regulations require you to report your step-parent's information on the FAFSA. Then you'll go to the income information, which you can use the IRS data retrieval tool. This will allow you to link your taxes directly from the IRS. It will take you to the irs.gov, where you can then have all of your information from the tax year transferred directly to the FAFSA. If you would prefer to input the information line by line, you are absolutely able to do so, but the IRS data retrieval tool is there to simplify the process. What are assets? Asset net worth means the current value of the assets minus what is owed. So assets include money in cash, savings, and checking accounts, businesses, investment farms, and other investments such as real estate, other than the home in which you live in, UGMA and UTMA accounts for which you are the owner, stocks, bonds, and certificates of deposit. Assets do not include the home you live in, UGMA and UTMA accounts for which you are the custodian, but not the owner, the value of life insurance, and retirement plans like 401ks, pension funds, annuities, and non-educational IRAs. How are 529 plans reported on the FAFSA? 529 plans are reported under the owner as an investment. It is not reported under the beneficiary. If the parent is the owner, it is then reported under the parent investment question. If the parent has more than one 529 plan for various members of the family, including siblings of the student, the total of all plans must be reported under the parent. After all of that information is inputted, you would then get to the student's signature page. Please note it is very important that both the student and parent signature page go through. Otherwise, the FAFSA would come back as rejected if it is missing a signature. So once the student processes their electronic signature, it will then prompt the parent for theirs as well. Once both are submitted, you would get a confirmation page. Please note towards the bottom, it will also ask if you'd like to start your state application for state-based aid, which will direct you right to, if you are a New York State resident, the TAP application. Or if you have a sibling, it says, does your brother or sister need to complete a FAFSA? If so, you can click on the button and it will automatically have all of the parental information on there. So you would just need to add the student's information and redo the signature pages. So what happens next? After your FAFSA is processed, you will receive a student aid report, or SAR, with estimated eligibility. This report will also include your EFC, or expected family contribution, or it will now be known as your student aid index. Each school listed on the FAFSA will receive the information you have submitted. If accepted for admissions, the college or colleges will then calculate and prepare a financial aid package. Further details regarding your awards and other required documents will be provided within the aid package. Remember to accept or decline the offer to you and return the response to the aid office no later than May 1st. I mentioned verification. So what is verification? Your student aid report or student aid index will notify you if you have been selected by the FAFSA processor, and the colleges will be able to be notified as well. To rectify verification, you would need to submit signed 2021 tax documentation. This can either be a signed tax return transcript or it can be a signed tax return. Please don't miss out on this process. Additional aid may be offered upon the completion of verification, but please note, aid can also be adjusted based on corrections. If verification is not completed, students would not be able to utilize federal aid for that semester or year. Here's a FAFSA tip. Should you hire a consultant to help you file the FAFSA, it is not recommended paying a fee when you can get the help you need right from the source for free. There are specialized representatives available to assist you step by step through the process at 1-800-4FED-AID or by clicking the live help button to chat with a representative. Some FAFSA tips. What are some common mistakes students and families make when completing the FAFSA? The first is not asking for help. Please call the number, utilize the FAFSA online chat, or self-service buttons throughout the FAFSA. Please make sure you are filing the correct FAFSA for the correct aid year. The FAFSA for the current academic year of 2022-2023 will also be available at the same time the 2023-2024 application is there. Do not use nicknames. Please use the name as spelled on the Social Security card. Use correct Social Security numbers and dates of birth. Do not list parent income information under the student section. Make sure both student and parent signatures go through. And if your address has changed, please make sure this is updated with your admissions application. Here I've linked some helpful resources for financial aid. I do have our website, hofstra.edu/SFS, as we have recordings with presentations like this to go over the FAFSA filing process. For federal aid information, you can go to studentaid.gov. Federal aid would include the FAFSA. New York State residents can go to hesc.ny.gov for TAP information. And for any general questions, a great resource is finaid.org. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you really enjoyed the presentation and have a wonderful day.